Shah. Soldier Hood. It's another fervent Friday. All praises to the Most High for another day to do His will, to do His work, put His work in, right? Give everybody the opportunity to come on in. I pray that you had a blessed week in the Lord, and that you kept His commandments to the best of your ability, right? We got dedications coming up next week. So if you have not reached out to leadership yet in regards to your fees or fellowshipping, please make sure you reach out to one of the captains or one of the officers regarding your accommodations at this year's Feast of Dedications, right? Again, this is Soldier Hood. I'm coming to you with another fervent Friday on the 1st of December. As you come in, please like, share, subscribe. Please help share the word of the Most High to the four corners of the earth, if you don't mind. This week's class is Don't Fool Yourself, right? Falsely justified. Don't fool yourself. We do not want to fool ourselves in the truth. Man, this week been heavy, man. All types of crazy stuff been going on. People been fooling themselves, right? Shalom, salute. Officer Cove and all the officers, as well as all the captains, all the soldiers, all the brothers and sisters, all the children of the Battle Axes of the Most High, as well as Shalom salute to each and every righteous congregation that is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments out there. This week's class again is Don't Fool Yourself, right? We're going to start out in Proverbs 16. Chapter 16, right? This is where David had to flee, right, to the Most High for safety, right? Shalom, shalom, Malak Abraham. All right. So we're going to start out Proverbs 16 and 2, right? And it reads, the book of Psalms, chapter 16, verse 2. O my soul, thou hast said unto the Lord, thou art my Lord. My goodness extendeth not to thee, right? Now that's a good precept, but made a mistake. That's supposed to be Proverbs, not Psalms. I have my Bible in Psalms. Salakia, that's Proverbs 16 and 2. Let's do that again, all right? And this is wisdom's blessings come from the Lord in regards to what we're reading into in this scenario, right? The book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 2. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes. So in most people, the way that they look at themselves, they can do no wrong, right? Because this is the reason why it's good to be part of a congregation. So that way, if you are going off, if you're not doing something that is undetrimental to your salvation, right? Something that will have you waver in this truth. You want to make sure that you are in a body that is allowing you to examine yourself as well as providing wise counsel in regards to it. Shalom, Aqua Genesis, right? And it says, all the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Most High weigheth the spirits, right? He weigheth the spirit. So no matter what you try and do, he's going to be doing that. Shalom, melodic tunes, right? He's going to be weighing your actual spirit. What is spirit? John 6:63. We're not going to touch that, but we're going to go over to the precept that lines up with this Proverbs 16 and 2, which is found in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 3, right? And this is when Hannah, right? Not sure if y'all are familiar with Hannah, right? Elkanah, if I'm saying that right, Elkanah is basically going up to Shiloh every year to worship, right? This is something that he does every year. And he had two wives, Hannah as well as Benaniyah, right? Basically, he gave the sons and daughters portions and things of that nature. But Benaniyah was fooling herself, right? She was falsely justified in her actions, right? So every year when he went up to give these supplications to the Most High, Hannah was being provoked privately. So she was probably just all in her face, like, I can have kids, you can't have children. That's unfortunate, right? Because she was barren. So what Hannah had to do was Hannah was crying out to the Lord, please have mercy on me. If I have a child, I'm gonna get this child to you, right? And she ended up having Samuel, right? And Samuel was a mighty prophet for the Most High, right? Remember Samuel when he was brought back from the dead, when Saul, Shalom salute, Captain Jerubbaal, right? He was brought back from the dead when Saul went off, and he came back and he had to tell, and Saul was like, I just came to get you out, real quick to just ask you, can you do this for me? Can you talk to the Most High, find out what's going on? This, that, when he was losing the kingdom of David. And Samuel told him, hey, look, man, you and your son, y'all gonna be with me tomorrow. So you don't even need to worry about that. So he got the worst kind of bad news. But that Saul's mother was Hannah, right? She was being provoked by Benaniyah, right? Because the Lord had a womb, which was unfortunate. But no worries, let's find out what happened. Because once she got the child, she wrote a song of thankfulness, right? She didn't fool herself. She trusted in the Lord, right? And it says here in 1 Samuel 2 and 3, talk no more exceedingly proudly, right? This was going out to Benaniyah, right? Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. She's teasing her. She's provoking her. You can't have children. Guess what? At the end of the day, that's up to the Most High, right? That's up to the Most High, right? For the Lord is a God of knowledge, right? And by him, actions are weighed. So as we read there in Proverbs 16 and 2, right? It says, but the Lord weigheth the spirits, right? It says right here, by him, actions are weighed. So your actions that you're doing within your spirit is being weighed by the Most High. He has the perfect scale, right? He has the perfect scale. Because guess what? Benaniyah was acting foolishly. She fooled herself. Her actions was falsely justified, right? Because she thought, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and tease my sister because she can't have children. But the Most High told us, be fruitful and multiply. What kind of sense does that make? She was going off, right? She was fooling herself, thinking that, hey, guess what? I'm going to be the only one that's going to be able to have a child, right? That's where she made that mistake. And the Most High gave Hannah a mighty prophet. So we have to be very careful what we say to people, what we wish on people, things of that nature. You always want to exalt your brothers and sisters, right? As we went over last night, you always want to be exalting them, right? We're going to go over to Proverbs 12 and 15, right? Because we want to basically observe different virtues and vices that may come into our life day to day as we are striving to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. The book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, right? We learned that in Proverbs 6 and 2, right? It says, all the ways of man are clean in his own eyes. This shows that precept. The way of a fool, right? So you're being a fool. Do not fool yourself. You're being a fool when you assume that all your ways are right in your own eyes. You have to examine yourself as the scriptures inform us to do, right? It says, but he that hearkeneth unto wise counsel is wise, right? I'm going to read that again. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. So if you're getting counsel, make sure you know who your counselor is. Make sure you have a wise counselor. You have a counselor 1 of 1,000. You don't want to run your business all through the nation. That is unnecessary, right? And it says, verse 16, a fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man cometh shame, right? So you want to make sure that you're not operating in the ways of a fool, because it's real easy to basically be in a situation where you should have put your hand over your mouth, or you should have held your tongue. Right. All right. So let's go over to Luke 6 and 15. All right. We got an example of Hannah basically trusting in the Lord. She didn't fool herself. She didn't get into no verbal spats with Benaniyah. She basically went to the Lord and cried out, and he gave her a mighty prophet. Right. A mighty prophet. Let's go on over. Right. Because a lot of times people mock you in the truth. They'll mock who you are. You don't know enough. You don't do this, you can't do that. You never know, right? You never know what God's going to pour out on that person. So guess what? I would be a fool to mock any of my brothers and sisters in regards to it, right? You have to exalt them. At the time, my wife didn't believe that she could sew or thought that her hands was good enough or skilled enough to do it. Now, she getting her sew on. All praises to the Most High that he gave her that increase, right? And she had that faith in regards to praying and asking of the Lord and trusting the Lord. Now she's way better in regards to sewing. She can do it easily. She can sew quickly and efficiently. All praise to the Most High for adding that actual talent to her hands, make her hands willing. Now we are in the book of Luke 16 and 15, right? And what ended up happening in this situation, Yahushua had to check some Pharisees. They were eavesdropping as he was giving an actual parable, right? When he was giving this parable out, he was speaking in regards to the unfaithful steward, right? But guess what? I'm going to go up to verse 14 instead of 15. I'm going to get 14 just to show you what happened, right? The book of Luke, chapter 16, verse 14. And the Pharisees also, who were covetous, heard all these things, and they derided him. Deriding is to like mock, right? Or to like scoff in a situation. They were scoffing him, right? And it said, and he said unto them, ye are they which justify yourselves before men, because that's what the Pharisees was doing. You didn't wash your hand. Hey, you're eating corn on the Sabbath, right? You're doing work, you're doing this, you're doing that. Stone her, right? But they weren't keeping those laws, right? That's what it says. Ye are they which justify yourself before men. So they were falsely justifying themselves. They were fooling themselves. Don't you fool yourself, right? But the Most High knoweth your hearts, right? For that which is highly esteemed among men is abomination in the sight of the Most High, right? Because at the end of the day, our heart, we know the heart is exceptionally wicked. Jeremiah 17 and 9, right? But Christ had to check them for sneering at him, right? Because how dare you basically try to disrespect the Son of the Most High? But guess what? They were proud, they were puffed up, and guess what? Let's get that precept. Because they were justifying themselves amongst men. We're going to go over to Revelations, right? We'll go over to Revelations, get a quick example. We're going over to chapter 2, verse 23 in the book of Revelations, right? And it says, I will kill her children with death, right? This is Yahushua speaking, right? And all the churches shall know that I am which searcheth the reins and hearts, right? So as we read in Proverbs 6 and 2, hey, he webbed the spirits, right? Guess what? Samuel 2 and 3, by the Most High, actions are weighed, right? Again, it says, the way of the fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto wise counsel is wise, right? Again, no laugh. Wow. So we go to Revelations 2 and 23, and it says, I will kill her children with death. Don't fool yourself. Your children may not make it, right? You may not make it, right? And all the churches shall know that I am he which searcheth the reins and hearts. Right now, your actual heart's being searched. So every false word, every vain word, right? You will be judged for that, right? Ye that lack, right? And I will give unto every one of you according to your works. So when you're actually getting out here, scoffing the prophets, trying to sneer, right? right? Trying to mock as the Pharisees did in Luke 6:15. At the end of the day, you're doing this in front of the eyes of the Most High, right? You're doing this in the eyes of the Most High. A lot of times people are making situations what they don't need to be, right? They say false things. Anything can be used for good, or anything can be perverse, right? As this nation has actually done. Like they did the rainbow with the Rainbow Gang. That's a covenant that was given to the Most High. Now it's being utilized as a symbol to represent sodomy and perverseness. But hey, what I want to make sure I'm doing is committing my works unto the Most High. We're going to go over to Proverbs 16:3, right? Because we have to make sure that we're in a situation where we do the right things as the Most High tells us to do, right? Verse 3, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established, right? If I want to basically commit my works unto the Lord, I want to make sure I'm exalting my brothers, I'm building them up, right? I'm righteously rebuking those that need to be. So there's no blood on my hands, right? Why have the blood of your brother and sister on your hands, right? I have children. My daughter always is getting on my son about doing something because she knows it's going to provoke to the rod not being spared. So she tries to tell him, but a lot of times he's a little puffed up. He feels like he don't have to answer until he gets rebuked. And then she just looks at him like, I tried to warn you, right? She's trying to commit her works unto the Lord, and the thoughts shall be established. Why do you need your thoughts established? Let's go to Psalms 37:6. Let's get the proverb, the precept. Because at the end of the day, you don't want you don't want no one's blood on your hands. Don't run, all right? Child running, fall, bust their mouth open. Guess what? Because they did not take wise counsel. We're going over to Psalms 37:5, and it reads, commit thy way. It's saying pretty much the same thing. Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him. Because who else are you going to trust in? Yourself, right? Shalom, shalom, Eskimo Duress, right? Commit thy way unto the Lord. You want to commit your way into the Lord, right? Because guess what? David had to contrast the godly and the wicked. So he was given intelligence right here when he says, commit thy way into the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. What did Hannah do? In 1 Samuel 2:3, she basically trusted. She committed her way because she told the Lord, look, if you give me, right? If you give me a child, I will basically give you this child if you give me a male. And she got Samuel, and Samuel was given to the Lord, and he was a mighty prophet. He was the one who had to prophesy to Saul when Saul was going off, right? So again, we want to make sure that we trust in him. And if it's his will, what does it say? He shall bring it to pass. To pass. So he's going to allow that to happen if that's in his actual will to do it. We can't say, hey, Lord, my car isn't fast enough. Give me a 6550. Let me get me a S550, right? That's not what he's asking for. He gave you a car. The car ain't breaking down on you. Guess what? His grace is sufficient, like he told Paul when Paul had the actual thorn in his side, right? Now we're going back over to Proverbs 16, right? Because we got to know that this wisdom's blessings come from the Most High, right? Here we go. It says here in verse 8, better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. What does it value a man, right, to gain the world if he's going to lose his soul, right? What does it value that? Most of these celebrities in Hollywood have sold their bowels. right? They've given themselves to a society of people who care not for them. Do you think someone's crying when, hey, this person gets called out for domestic violence or driving drunk or all types of inappropriate and lewd acts, right? Or dealing with a situation that is deemed unlawful, right? And these man-made laws. You think someone's crying like, oh man, I'm gonna go watch all their movies? No, they're not, because they don't care about that, right? That's why it says better is a little with righteousness. So you're better to have a little bit and be righteous than to have everything and to go off and you're not right. And you're basically giving a sacrifice of fools in front of a nation, right? It says a man's heart deviseth his way. What do we learn? Jeremiah 17:9. Heart is deceptionally wicked, right? It says, but the Lord directeth his steps, right? So at the end of the day, you may think you're getting over the Most High. You may think you're taking the back door. You can't backdoor the Most High. Don't fool yourself, man. This is no laughing matter, right? Because at the end of the day, you're putting yourself in a situation that's not going to help you. Let's go back to Psalms and get that precept. Let's stack it on up, right? Let's stack it on up. We're going back to Psalms 37:16, right? And it reads, a little that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of many wicked. So it's giving you a better understanding. So in case you read that, say better is with a little righteousness than great revenues without right. That may not make sense to you, right? So this is why we must precept our Bible to get clarity and understanding, which a lot of these churches don't do this. They stay in one situation and then they try to paint a picture, and a lot of times they're not good artists, right? It says here in verse 16, a little that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of many wicked, right? And it says in verse 17, for the arms of the wicked shall be broken. You want a broken arm? Keep stretching it out at the Most High, right? It says, but the Lord upholdeth the righteous. The Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever, right? The inheritance shall be forever. Because guess what? I would rather have something that I'm content with than to have all the money in the world. Because that may not be my lot to have that. You see what I'm saying? I could go off. I could get the money and say, you know what? I'm leaving my family. I'm finna go travel the world and make documentaries and just basically puff myself up. No. I thank the Lord that he's made what he's given me sufficient, right? These are the situations, right? These are the situations. Ecclesiastes, Salakia. We'll go over to Ecclesiastes 4 and 6. Let's get a little bit more, because it says, a little that a righteous man have is better than the riches of many wicked. What is it going into, right? Because what you want to look at is hard work versus laziness, right? Hard work versus laziness, right? Let's go. Ecclesiastes 4 and 6. Better is an handful with quietness, right? We were talking about this at Camp 101 last night. Most men, all we want is peace, right? Come home, a quiet house, a peaceful house, everybody's in order, right? Your wife's in order, your children's in order. If you have a pet, your pet's in order, right? At the end of the day, right? It says, better is a handful, right? You have a handful, just one handful, right? Than both hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. Now you both hands full. Let me have some. Let me have some. Now you got all this family coming out the woodworks, right? Now you have all these people starting to come to you. Oh man, I always believed that you can do it. Remember back in the day when we did this? Now they're bringing up false accounts. Don't fool yourself, right? Don't be justified falsely, right? Because you're trying to justify yourself falsely. That's what this class is about. Don't fool yourself, right? And we can see there's a sacrifice of fool going on, right? So it says, better is a handful with quietness. Who would rather have just enough, right? Just enough. You can fit one gold bar in your hand, right? You could fit $10,000 in one hand, right? But you got both hands, you got $1 million, you holding it like this. Somebody may want to take your life for all of that, right? You can have too much to where, like the scriptures say, you have too much where you forget your God. You forget what the Most High is giving you, right? You don't want to be in a situation where you have a vexation of spirit, because that's going to, every time your phone rings, it's going to be somebody asking for something, right? And somebody that's not doing the law of the Most High, that haven't talked to you in Lord knows how long, right? And now they want something. You think you could pay my gas bill this month? It's going to be cold. Who was paying it before that? I haven't talked to you in I don't know how long, right? There you go. Sacrifice of fools, and guess what? Just like Revelation 2:23, got your range searched out, right? Let's go to Proverbs 30:11, right? There's a generation, right? I know y'all been watching social media this week. Let's talk about it, right? There's a generation that curseth their father, right? And does not bless their mother. Y'all seen the situation with Clifford Harris and his son King, right? Arguing, right? Vexation of spirit at a football event, right? What were they doing? They were sitting, he was cursing them out. You not like that, this, that, whatever. His mom telling him, chill out, chill out. He's still getting louder and louder. They're telling him, look, you're not a thug. You're not this hardened criminal that you try to portray, right? Because they know him. If you watched any of those little silly shows that they had, those growing up with the, I don't know what it was called, but T.I. had like a little virtual reality show, right? Scripted, as you know, and they follow him around. He was a crybaby the whole time because he couldn't get his way. So now he wants to be, I stand on business. Let me tell you something. Everybody said that they stand on business. Are you standing on the business of the Lord? Are you standing on the Lord's business? Are you keeping these commandments, your house in order? Are you in order, right? Are you striving for the perfection that we are commanded to actually have? Because the world's going to tell you, you don't have to be perfect, right? But guess what? At the end of the day, right, you do got to be perfect. Scripture's heating up, got the smoke alarm going on, right? We got to be perfect in the eyes of the Most High, right? Because you're going to basically be in a situation that you don't want to be in, because the scriptures tell us what to do. Proverbs 20:20. Let's see what the door prize is for cursing your father and basically not want to bless your mother, right? Praises. Nah, that's mine going on, right? It says here in Proverbs 20:20, whoso curseth his father or his mother, his lamp shall be put out in obscure darkness, right? And what does that mean, right? What does that mean? We know what the lamp is, right? The lamp is pretty much your life. That's why it says, let your light shine, right? Let your light shine. Let's get the proof. Let's go to the law. Let's go to Exodus 20:17. Let's build on that, right? Let's build on that. Because you don't want to fool yourself. You definitely don't want to fool yourself. Let's go over Exodus 12:17. Let's get the law, right? And it reads, and he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. That's simple. That's pretty much that simple right there. He that curseth his mother or his father shall be put to death. Right? And that's 21 and 17. 21 and 17 that says that, right? I said it backwards. I said 12. It's 21 and 17. Scribble that. As you know, as Hebrews, we go right to left, right? So I had put 12 instead of 21. Salakia Masapa. Exodus 21 and 17, right? It says here, and these were the laws that were being given in regards to manslaughter, right? And it says, he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death, right? Now, this is the reason why it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy mother and thy father, that it may be well with thee, and thou may live longest on the earth, right? Because if you weren't doing that, you're going to surely be put to death, right? Like, the sun will surely come up tomorrow. The moon will surely come out tonight, because that's the will of the Lord. These laws, they ain't grievous, and they ain't a lie. They're not for joke, right? Let's go back to Proverbs, right? Let's dig a little bit deeper in regards to this, because we have to look at where these children are now going, right? We have to make sure, because we're children of the Lord, we have to make sure we're not falling into those characteristics, right? Scoffing your father, scoffing your mother, threatening them, provoking them, putting them in a situation, trying to test them, right? Trying to get puffed up and big up. Man, I don't know where this generation getting this from. Because when we was growing up, where you get slapped down, your teeth would get slapped around in your mouth like dice, man. You wake up on the couch with a cool compress on your head, right? You couldn't do that back in the day. Now they have it where a lot of parents are afraid to spare their rod, and we can't be friends with our children. And I tell my children this all the time. We can't be friends. We can be friendly to them, but we have to always stay in the realm of, I'm the parent. Because if not, you're going to end up like T.I. and King, arguing at a football game over him being exposed for not being who he was. You didn't see Michael Irvin's son trying to come back when Michael Irvin got on TV and said, look, my son grew up in a gated community, in a silver spoon situation. He didn't have to want for nothing. For nothing. I gave him everything. Now he's out here rapping about spinning the block, selling dope, and hurting people, right? Who do you think you are? That's not who you was. It's not who you was raised on. Cut it out, right? Cut it out. This ain't the reverse Fresh Prince situation. Cut it out. Let's get back in. Proverbs 30 and 12, right? It says, there is a generation that are pure in their own eyes, right? What did Proverbs 16 and 2 say? All the ways of man are clean in his own eyes, right? 1 Samuel 2 and 3, talk no more exceedingly proud, right? Right? Luke 16 and 15, what did Christ say? Ye are they which justify yourself before man, but the Most High knows your hearts, right? And what is highly esteemed amongst man is an abomination, right? Come on, Sister Genesis, it is. This rap music only teaches you to be a drug addict or a prostitute or a target. That's it. Nothing. Who's going to look up to that? Oh, I'm going to spin the block. Then you in prison. Mama, can you put some money on my books? Ain't no money for her to put. You never got an advance check. You just trying to go viral. You don't think about that till you locked up, right? And guess what? Then at that point, all that killer talk that you was on, that's going to be tested. Trust me, it's going to be tested, right? Let's get the rest of it. It says there's a generation that is pure in their own eyes. These children nowadays, they feel like they cannot do any wrong. They feel like they made it, like they know enough, right? Barely can wash dishes, right? Barely can keep their room clean. Struggling in school. But yet, they feel in their own eyes, they're pure. They feel like I'm good. I don't need your help. You ain't got to tell me nothing. This world is going to eat them up, spit them out, right? And then the rest of it says, and yet is not washed from their filthiness. They're not washed from their filthiness, right? They're not washed from their filthiness at all, but they think that they're pure, right? Let's get a precept in regards to having an understanding. They're not washed from their filthiness. Let's go over to Prophet Jeremiah, right? We go into chapter 2, verse 35. See what the prophet says, right? It says, "Yet thou sayest, because I am innocent," they say they're pure in their own hearts, right? "Surely his anger shall turn from me." So you thought that you wasn't going to get judged. This was when Judah was in sin. And Jeremiah was telling them, you know what I'm saying, before they started acting shamelessly, right? He tried to explain to them. He says, "Y'all saying, because I am innocent, surely his anger shall turn from me. Behold, I will plead with thee," right? We got plead. Isaiah 66 and 16. Hold your precept real quick. Let's just grab it. Let's just get that real quick. All right. We're gonna see how the Most High is gonna plead. You don't want this type of pleading. This pleading come with bleeding. For real, right? Isaiah 66 and 16, right? And it says, "For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many." All right, 2/3 club. Do you want to be in the 2/3 club? I definitely don't want that, right? Let's go back. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 35 says, "Yet thou sayest," right? This is what they were saying in their own mind, their own hearts, "because I am innocent, surely his anger shall turn from me. Behold, I will plead with thee, because thou sayest, I have not sinned," right? These are the situations that our people put themselves in because they don't examine themselves daily, right? Hourly, right? On each moment, checking their ways to make sure, did I just displease the Lord? Am I displeasing the Lord? Am I pleasing the Lord, right? These things should be in your mind constantly, right? Don't fool yourself. Don't be falsely justified in your own ways, right? We want to step away from that. Jeremiah was trying to really warn what was going on in Judah because the people were going to start acting shamelessly, right? They were going to start basically breaking commandment after commandment, law after law, right? Let's go back, right? Well, matter of fact, let's go forward. Let's get another precept, right? Because he's already telling you what he's going to do when you get off track, right? He told us that in Luke 2 and 23. He said, "I kill your children." That was Christ talking, right? But they'll tell you in church, "Oh, Jesus loves everybody." Oh, not my Jesus. Well, clearly you are not reading your Bible because he tells you what's going to happen to your children, to them bad children. T.I., get your son in check, man. You out here going to the little nightclub, turning up and acting a fool because they put you on a flyer. What you expect to happen? Y'all gave a sacrifice of fools, man. When we were growing up, our parents used to say, "Hey, whatever goes on in this house stays in this house." There was no reason to get into a bunch of, but he tried to warn him. He said, "Hey, man, you're embarrassing your family." But it was too late because guess what? He had no respect for his father or his mother, right? He's part of that generation that curses the father, right? And doesn't bless the mother. Because his mother was telling him, hey, cut it out. Hey, stop. It just got more and more effeminate, more and more emotional. I stand on business. But he couldn't stand up when T.I. had to grab hold to him. He couldn't do nothing. He couldn't do nothing about it. And guess what? That could have been a ploy just to create online revenue by having their video go viral, right? Because, hey, they already had a reality show. So you never know with these celebrities when they're going to pull the wool over your eyes, put a veil over your eyes of sin, right? Because guess what? That little ritual or act that would have been getting done right there is going to show these other children, I can be part of the generation that curses my father and don't bless my mother, right? Seen one where the girl was mad at her mom for doing something, So I don't know, she gave her mom like something to drink that made her go to sleep, like some NyQuil or something like that in her drink, and she shaved her head. And then kind of like hit her like, hey, wake up. You remember you wouldn't let me do this and that? And her mom's looking crazy, like, what is going on? There's more and more parents being embarrassed on video going viral, right? Than ever before. Great-grandparents, grandparents, like men and women that stood on the business of what the Bible said, right? Of what to do and how to raise these children. They wrote, man, they're in heaven like this, like, oh, or they might be, or excuse me, they are awaiting their judgment in regards to what their outcome is going to be. Let me correct myself properly in regards to that. But I'm going to get Isaiah 13 and 11. Let me stay on track here. It says, and I will punish the world for their evil. We know the world, Isaiah 45 and 17, right? And the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. When all the social media get cut out, you can't go viral no more. That's going to cease, right? And will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible, right? These situations are coming. They're coming. There's no way to get around it, right? Because a lot of these children are terrible and haughty. They talk back so much, and when you check them on, hey, who are you talking back to? They're unaware that they're even doing that because they're part of that generation. It's our job as the righteous to save our children, our brothers, our sisters, our wives, our husbands, and ourselves from making a fool of ourselves, giving a sacrifice of fools, and justly and falsely justifying our deeds that are not pleasing to the Lord. Because at the end of the day, he ain't going for it. You're not going to be able to get in front of the Lord and talk him out of going to the lake of fire. That's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. You may be able to manipulate another human being, but you're not going to be able to manipulate the Lord, his son, or the angels. The day of the Lord is coming soon, sooner than any of us think. You have to ask yourself, where you at? Is your pride going to get you persecuted, right? Is your perverseness going to put you in purgatory, right? Proverbs 16 and 18. Let's find out, right? Let's see this jewel that the Most High has given us. It says, pride goeth before destruction. So when you're out here doing things pridefully, here comes the destruction. You're running with scissors in your hand. You trip and fall. Now the scissors in your stomach. You didn't think that was going to happen. You thought it was funny, right? You're out here dressing provocatively. Now you're out here screaming, help me, in a secluded area, right? You're out here claiming to be a thug. Now you have a gun aimed at you, right? These are the situations. Pride goeth before destruction. Learn from the Lord, man. He's give you the opportunity to see your folly, to not fool yourself, to not justify yourself falsely, right? It says, pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before the fall, right? It says, better is it to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. Who wants to divide the spoil with the proud, right? I know I don't. Because they're going to be like, oh, man, think about it, right? David, Saul, came back from war. The women out there singing the song, dancing, turning up. Saul killed thousands. David, 10,000s. Saul got out of control with that because he was now in a situation where that spoil of, I want to say worship, that spoil of being exalted for your deeds of war, right? Basically allowed him to show his pride. Like, how can y'all say that? I'm the king, not him. He's my soldier. Y'all supposed to praise me, not him. Pride go up before destruction and a haughty spirit before the Lord. Because when you think back on what Saul did, he was sitting there with his javelin. He's mad. I'm going to kill him. I'm gonna take this javelin, I'm going to throw it and stick him to the wall. David knew to move around, not sit in that kind of in the presence of an angry man, as the scripture tells us not to do, right? He knew to move around. And then what did Saul's mind do? What did his heart start to think for David? It was exceptionally wicked. He told his son and his servants, I'm going to kill him. Y'all trust me, we going to kill him. And his son like, nah, that's my boy. Like, nigga, I'm your daddy. We're killing him. I'm not dealing with this no more. I'm not finna lose it. His pride was going way before his destruction. He was sowing a seed of destruction, didn't realize it, right? We have to make sure we're not operating in a haughty spirit, right? Let's get 2 Samuel. Let's go back to the powerful prophet Samuel, right? Let's go to 2 Samuel 22 and 28, right? And it reads, the afflicted people thou wilt save, but thine eyes are upon the haughty, that thou mayest bring them down, right? For thou art my lamp, right? The Lord is our light. Proverbs 6 and 23, right? O Lord, Salakia, and the Lord will lighten my darkness, right? Because if you ever walk around in a room after you cut the lights out, you stumble over something because it's on the floor, you can fall and hurt yourself, right? That's why the Most High has to light our way with the laws, so we don't fall into sin, we don't fall into subjugation to be executed and exterminated out of existence, because it can easily happen to you, right? Because we have to think about this. We have to think about this in a way that we have to examine ourselves. Let's jump down to 31. It says, as for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all them that trust him. Hannah trusted in him. Brought about Samuel, right? We have to have this trust. We have to believe in the Lord with all our heart, right? We have to make sure that we're not letting pride go before our destruction, because the Most High hates the pride look. He hates that. He hates someone to think more themselves than what they really are. He hates that. We have to realize when we're doing this, check that and allow it to go off, right? Or be cut off, not so we don't go off. Salakia, right? Let's go back to Proverbs 30. Because we have to make sure that we're not making a sacrifice of fools. And guess what? That we're not fooling ourselves. Proverbs 30, verse 13. There is a generation, right? Oh, how lofty are their eyes, right? And their eyelids are lifted up, right? They're thinking highly above themselves. They're thinking to a point of, I can't do any wrong. There's nothing wrong. I'm good. There's nothing you can tell me. There's no correction that I need. This is with their eyelids lifted up. Like, oh, man, trying to tell me again. I know. And you're like, hey, guess what? Watch out. But guess what? That pride then blinded them, and now they're in a situation where they wish they would have listened. We can't put ourselves in these scenarios, right? We have to basically provide ourselves and profess humility to the Lord. We have to know that, guess what? Sometimes things are too big for us, right? You can't pick up a car. You can't move your house, right? To avoid property tax. You can't do that. Psalms 131 verse 1. Lord, my heart is not haughty, right? Being humility, showing humility, right? Letting them know my heart is not haughty. My eyes nor my eyes lofty, right? Neither do I exercise myself in great matters or in things too high for me, right? It says, surely I have behaved and quieted myself as a child that is weaned of his mother. My soul is even as a weaned child, right? Let Israel hope in the Lord from henceforth and forever. He was basically asking, showing humility, saying, I hope that my brothers and sisters doing right by the Lord, right? And that they're hoping in the Lord. He had to humble himself as a child. Child is to be seen, not heard, as we learned growing up, right? This child ain't supposed to be like, what y'all in here doing? Parents in here playing cards and gambling and using, words that are unsavory to a child's ears and doesn't need to be in a child's vocabulary. Hey, go on back in the room with your cousins, your brothers and your sisters. That's what they're supposed to be doing. But David said, I have quieted myself as a child that is weaned to his mother. So a child that's weaned to his mother is like an infant. It just sits there, it cools, it laughs, it sleeps, it's quiet, it's observing, right? Seen, not heard, right? But what he went back and said is his eyes are not lofty, right? His heart is not haughty. And he doesn't exercise himself in great matters. One of my favorite precepts, let me grab it. It says Sirach 3. These are the things that a lot of times you try and lift up something too heavy. You see the videos of the people in there lifting weights and they lift it up and they fall back on them or fall on their neck and they hurt themselves, right? We see that, right? But it says here in Sirach 3:23, be not curious in unnecessary matters. Mind your business, right? Because what does it say here? Neither in Psalms 131:1, neither do I exercise myself in great matters. What does it say here in Sirach? Be not curious in unnecessary matters. Right? It's telling you, and it's re-edifying it right there. Right? And it says, in great matters or in things too high for me. Right? And it says, be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are shewed unto thee than men understand. Right? Let me get that other precept to that. Romans 12:16, I believe. Let me check. Yep, Romans 12:16. Because we have to learn how to, a lot of times, know when something has to do with you and when you need to go to the Lord in prayer and ask him to deal with the situation. Because there might be something too big for you, right? You may not be built up to actually handle it, right? And it says here in Romans chapter 12:16, be of the same mind, one towards another, right? Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits, right? Don't fool yourself. Don't falsely justify your ways, right? This is the reason why we must use the wisdom that the Most High gave us. But a lot of times we don't use that wisdom. We end up in a situation, and you out here looking like T.I. and his son, man. Remember back in the day when them kids used to throw fits and throw themselves on the ground? Guess what? Them parents got all over them. Tore their behind up. And guess what? The other parents cheered it on. Yeah, you don't do that to your mom. You don't act like that in public. You're not supposed to be doing that. Now there's no more celebrating a sharp rebuke among parents. Now it's, don't do him like that. Oh, he's just a baby. Oh, he's a child. Oh, he don't know no better. It's too much letting them make it. And when you let them make it too much, they end up acting like King does. And a lot of these celebrities' children act just like that because they don't spread a rod, right? I mean, because they do spread a rod. Salakia. Let me correct myself, right? Proverbs 30:14. We're going to keep going, right? There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor, right? And we know who the poor is, to devour the poor from the earth, and the needy from among men, right? Let's get the precept for this. Hold your spot. Hold your spot. We're coming back to the 30. right? Coming back to that 30. We're gonna jump over, get a precept real quick. We're gonna jump over to Amos 8:4, right? Get some wise words, right? Let's see the oppression be reproved, right? The book of Amos, chapter 8, verse 4. Hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fall, right? We got to look at this, right? Who's oppressing us? Who's oppressing us? Oppression makes a wise man mad, right? Ecclesiastes 7:7. But who's oppressing us? Because now we have to think, who is this generation with these sharp teeth like knives, right? But better yet, who's the poor? Probably ask yourself, who's the poor? Israel is the poor. Let's get the proof. Isaiah 14:32. Let's get the proof. Let's get the understanding, family. All right? Book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 32. It says, what shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? That the Lord has founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. We are the poor of his people, right? That's who we are. I'm going to jump over, get another precept to connect that. Let's go precept upon precept, right? Because we have to think about that branch that came out of the root of Jesse. Isaiah 11:4. But with righteousness, right, shall he judge the poor and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked, right? Talking about Yahushua, right? I could easily go to 2 Ezra 13:10 to get more on that, or Jeremiah 5:14, which are two powerful precepts to go speaking in regards to this branch coming out of the root of Jesse, right? Which was Yahushua. Israel is the poor. We're the servants, right? We are his elect, right? We got all the precepts for that. I can go over to get who the chosen is. Isaiah 45:4, right? And it reads, Isaiah 45:4, for Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name, I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. You know why? Because we were going off, but he still loved us. He still called us his chosen, his servants, right? So we can't forget who we are, right? In regards to that, we can't forget who we are, but we wanna make sure we stay on top of what's going on here in 30 and 14 of Proverbs. It says, there's a generation whose teeth are as swords, right? We know who the sword is, that's Esau. And their jaw teeth as knives to devour the poor from off the earth, right? So these are context clues we have to think about. Who is basically devouring the poor from off the earth? We just read here, right? In Amos 8:4, hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail, right? Let's get a precept to find out who is basically devouring the poor from off the earth and the needy from amongst men. Let's go to Micah, right? Let's go over to the prophet Micah. Let's go to, let's see here, Micah 2:2, right? And I'm gonna start at verse 1 to get a little bit of context in this, right? This is when Israel's sins were basically being shown to them and they're being condemned, right? And it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. They covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. Who's doing this? We're being punished by who? We're being punished by the sword, which is Esau, right? He was the one that's being utilized to actually punish us repeatedly over and over, because All he was is it's like a belt with the child, right? It's like a rod. Spread out the rod. That's all it was being basically done, right? It says they covered fields and take them by violence. When they showed up here, we're pilgrims, right? We're pilgrims. Show us how to make corn, right? Show us how to do this. And what did they do? They covered the fields. Oh, that's nice. I like that. That's where all the corn growing at. Got all the corn there. Right? Got all the corn. They was coveting those fields. They wanted those fields secretly, right? They wanted that. And guess what it did? They took them away by violence, right? And the houses to take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man and his heritage, right? And we know what the sword is. The sword is Psalms 17, if I'm not mistaken. Let me think about it here for a second. 17 and 13, right? That's what the sword is, right? And then in Job 9 and 24, Salakia, right? Because guess what? He was even after our heritage, because we see what's going on right now in Ashdod, right? Somebody over there faking the heritage. They're playing identity theft, right? That's what they're doing, right? That's what they're doing. They're playing identity theft. Because we need to find out what our heritage is, right? And then let me just get that set up. Boom. I'm going to go to Jeremiah 17 and 4. Let me get that precept first in regards to heritage. Because we want to have a full understanding. It says, and they covered fields, take them by violence, right? We had the curses told us we would have this to happen to us, right? In Deuteronomy 28. It says they take them by violence in the houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, right? The banks oppress us, or you're late a payment, you're short a payment. Hey, we're going to take your house from you, right? Even a man and his heritage, right? So let's get that heritage. Let's get that understanding. We're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 17 and 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee. The Most High gave this to us, right? But he said, we're going to discontinue from that heritage. And he said, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever, right? Because when you commit these sins, you think the Most High like that? No, that's gonna burn him up forever. That's gonna show his anger through that, because he doesn't want us to sin. He wants us to keep the commandments and live, right? But again, it says he's going to discontinue from thy heritage. But was that something that actually happened forever? No. And how do we prove that? Let's go over to Sirach 17 and 11, right? And it reads, besides this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for an heritage. Are the laws taken away from us? No. Do we still have to keep the laws? Yes. Did Christ say keep the commandments and live? Yes. Did the Most High tell us to keep the commandments and live? Yes. One accord, right? One accord. But when we actually sin and go against that, this is what basically kindles a fire of anger in the eyes of the Most High that will burn forever. He will never not like us, or he will never feel good or accept the fact that we're not keeping his laws. That will never be something that sits okay with the Lord. That's not. The laws that was given to us was our heritage, and we're to keep that, and we're coming back into that. That's why he's waking us up to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments, right? We have to understand that, all right? Let's go back, right, to 30, all right? We're going to Proverbs 30 and 17. The eye that mocketh his father. We just saw a king mocking his father. You're not that. I know who you are. That's Capt. You're not from the street. You're not this. You're not that, because they told him you're not from the street. You wouldn't stayed at your Edomite grandmother's house, and she made a wimp out of you. Now you just cry and look like little Fraggle Rock boy, right? You out there embarrassing yourself, becoming a meme. That meme ain't gonna never go away, no matter how much you don't like it. Once they make a meme out of you as a celebrity, like the Jordan crying face, they use that for everything. You think he like that? Nah, he doesn't like to be sneered. He does not like to be mocked, right? But guess what? Who likes to be mocked or sneered? Most people say, I don't care. I guarantee you care. Back to Proverbs 30, verse 17. The eye that mocketh at his father and despiseth to obey his mother. Didn't want to listen. The ravens of the valley shall pick it out, and the young eagles shall eat it, right? That means you're going to get put to death, right? Let's prove that. Let's prove that, right? Let's go into Deuteronomy really quickly. Here. We're going to Deuteronomy 21. Let's prove it, right? Eagle's going to have a feast on that. The young raven's going to pluck it out, right? And that sounds to a point of excruciating pain. You rub your eye too hard, right? Push your eye in. That don't hurt. So imagine a beak pecking and pulling your eyeball out. Then the eagle's going to have the leftovers. They're going to probably move the ravens out the way and have all of it, right? Then here come the vultures. That means you're going to be a carcass, right? Deuteronomy 21. I'm going to jump up to 18 real quick, right? Because it shows a stubborn son or a stubborn child shall be stoned to death. And here's the proof. We want the proof in the pudding? Here it is. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, king, right? Then shall his father and his mother lay hold of him. I had to grab him up, right? And bring him out unto the elders of his city. This part they didn't do. And into the gate of his place, right? Because as you can see, they was laughing, right? T.I. and his son was laughing on some type of, I don't know if it was like an interview or something. Oh yeah, we good, because it wasn't real. All of that was to spread a spirit of discord to these children, thinking they can come at their parents like he's coming at him. They probably got a check. Esau's like, there you go, Clifford. There you go, little Fraggle Rock. There you go. There's your check. We got your people to do what they wanted. And guess what? You think they care about our people going off or if the laws are being kept? They don't care about that. They got a mortgage to pay for a house. They got to pay gardeners and housekeepers and butlers if they have that type of stuff, right? Pay for their Maybachs, right? Big cars, big trucks and stuff, right? These are the things that they're concerned with. They're concerned with the treasures of the earth, not understanding that our treasures are laid up in heaven, right? And it says, and they, verse 20, and they shall say unto the elders of his city, this is our son. This our son is stubborn and rebellious, right? Rebellion is as witchcraft. Stubborn is idolatry, right? He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard, right? He's basically being gluttonous, right? He's basically being stubborn. He doesn't want to do what they say do. He's telling him, son, chill out. You're embarrassing your family. You're embarrassing your family. Did he care? No. He just kept going on. He just kept to the point where had to grab hold of him, right? They had to grab hold of him to show him, guess what? You're not who you think you is. Your name is king, but you're not acting like a king. Acting like a little princess. Might as well put some barrettes in your hair, man. Because he used to wear chokers, thought he was a little emo rock child, because there you go. He's going over to grandma's house, Meemaw's house. She was an Edomite. She gonna let him do whatever he want. Paint your nails, baby, it's all right. Walk around in my shoes. It's okay, right? These are situations that our people go through. Let me look for something real quick. Get something. Because he didn't care, right? But see, the thing is, jokes on us, guys, because guess what? All we did was share that all week, right? All we did was share that all week. I'm thank God I'm not on social media like that. I saw it all week, but I wasn't going to share it because I didn't know who I'm going to share it with. I just saw that really, to me, was more of a situation of embarrassment. Like, you're getting out here trying to be something that you're not. You're trying to be something that you're not. And now you're upset with everybody for trying to call you out on it. And then now T.I.'s all at the little sports bar doing all of this. I stand on business. Are you standing on the Lord's business? The Most High said he's not going to suffer a witch to live. He's not. He's not going to do that, right? Verse 21. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, that he die. So shalt thou put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. Right? And that's a good precept there, House of Yaakov. Yes, the wives are foolish, and their children are wicked, right? But this is why we need men in the house. This is why we need men not to be out here hitting it and quitting it. If you lay, you stay, okay? If you lay, you stay, okay? And that's thus say. You know what I'm saying? That's thus say the Lord, not thus say me, right? We have to make sure that we're not allowing our children to be stubborn, disobedient offspring that will teach others by letting their dim light, right, to shine and say, hey, you know what? I'm finna tell my daddy I stand on business. Well, guess what? Hopefully that father makes sure that you have to get up off the floor for standing on the business. That mother basically makes sure her daughter have to get up off the floor for standing on business. Because the only business a child needs to be standing on, going to school, getting your grades, being obedient, listening to your parents, making sure that you're doing the will of the Lord. Because if you're not, the eagles shall eat it, and the ravens of the valley gonna pluck your eyes out for it, man. And I'm gonna get my last precept here. My praise to the Most High for another Fervent Friday. My last precept here is why are we not standing on this business, right? If we have children, we have to make sure we stand on this business, right? And that we are implementing this in our household fully, right? Not with a slack hand, with a full hand, right? Children, we're going to do is Ephesians 6, right? Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy mother and thy father, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. Right? This was something that was being told. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy mother and thy father, that it may be well with thee, and thou may live longest on the earth. You don't want to do something that will shorten your days, as the scripture states. You don't want to be taken out early because you're fooling yourself and you're justifying yourself falsely. There's a generation that's out here that's being disobedient to their parents, right? That they're basically operating with lofty eyes, raised up eyelids. They're curious in unnecessary manners. They're basically trying to deal with things that do not require their attention, right? They're putting themselves in the opportunity to where their parents are going to have to spend $7,000 for that funeral, because you don't want to be in that situation, right? We don't want to talk exceedingly proud, right? We don't want to make sure our ways are clean to us. Our ways need to be clean to the Lord, right? You don't want to justify yourself amongst men, because in those high esteem scenarios among those men, that's an abomination to the Lord, right? You don't want to be in that generation that basically puts itself into obscure darkness by having your lamp removed, right? You don't want to say, I'm innocent. Surely his anger will turn from me because I have not been punished yet, because it's coming. That punishment is coming, right? Because pride goes before destruction and their eyes are haughty. Do not fool yourself, man. Do not fool yourself. And with that, we say shalom. Here at Battle Axes, we say keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, right? The water for the GoFundMes, right? The water for the Cash Apps, or whatever way you are looking to provide alms to the congregation, which are being righteously utilized to actually bring forth delight and pleasure to the Lord, right? Not being utilized for folly or foolishness as the Christian church has done for centuries, right? I'm going to go to Exodus 21:17, right? And it says, he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death, right? These are the things you don't want to be put to death, right? You don't want to curse the Most High in your heart by celebrating your birthday, right? Or celebrating something that's displeasing to the Lord. Don't do it. Do not do it, right? Man, that was a beautiful class. All praises to the Most High, right? As Officer Yacole states, like, share, subscribe, help spread the word of the Most High to the four corners of the earth, man. Let's get on out of here. Let's keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. We know Esau is oppressing us. These heathen nations are oppressing us. But if we do like Hannah, right, and keep our faith in the Most High, bless you with something that you never saw coming, but you want to dedicate your life as a living sacrifice to the Lord so that can actually happen, right? Shalom, Akwaf, bossing up. I think that's a young lady, yeah. The water, all praises to the Most High for a great class. I can't do anything without him, man. I'm just a spirit inside of the body which he has given me in this regeneration, right? If you have not reached out to the captains, the numbers are in the descriptions. Please make your provisions for dedication. It's going to be a grand event, praising the Lord during these times, right? Yahweh Shai kept it, so should you, right? You want to make sure that you have your white and gold in measure in regards to it. Our sisters are going to be looking yapah, which is beautiful. Our men are going to be looking magnificent in regards to mighty stature, dressing like our elders did, right? In regards to keeping that feast day. The children going to be looking like a great fruit. And you want to be a wise tree built up. Man, it was just a great class. These are dark days, man. Make sure your light is shining towards the nations. Please do not fool yourself. And again, if you have not reached out to the captain and made your provisions for dedications, please do so. Tonight's class will be Soldier Donovan. Last night, Captain Yari had a great class. Wednesday night, Officer Berakaya had a great class. Tuesday night, Maccabees had a great class. He went into Hezekiah, all right? Tuesday morning with that Raw Truth. Tuesday, Yacove brought it out. Monday, Captain Jerubbaal brought it out. I believe it was discerning spirits in regards to that. We have to be in a situation, all right? We got to be ready, because you just never know when you're going to go through a situation, and you want to make sure the Lord is on your side. That's what Berakaya was bringing out, right? Just like last night with Captain Yard, he was bringing out and these classes are starting to come together like a puzzle. So if you get to watch them in succession, then you actually see that. That's why we set it off with the Q&A. And then if we need more Q&A on Monday, Q&A is there because Benaniyah does a great job on Sunday with the Q&A. And then, as you know, on the Shabbat, the actual captains always have a great Shabbat class. But man, we trying to get right, man, before the Most High returns, because when he sends his son back, it ain't gonna be no words. It's not gonna be no type of trying to plead with the Lord, because he's pleading with fire and the sword, man. And with that, I'm gonna say, Kahala Yahweh Bahashim Mashat Yahweh Shah Barakatah Akin Wa Akwatim and Yasharala. Hallelujah. Shalom.